Angiosperms are flowers, fruit and seeds, and broadleaf plants. Flowers are an angiosperm structure specialized for sexual reproduction. Flowers contain pollen, which are the male gametes. Pollen is transferred from one flower to another by animals, wind, and water. It contains structures such as petals, which attract pollinators, carpels, which make megaspores and female gametophytes. This helps to make pollination more easy and direct. Petals are more brightly colored than sepals and advertise the flower better to pollinators. Smells and nectar also attract. By evolving bright colors, scents, and nectar, the flowers of angiosperms attract animals. Because flower-seeking animals can learn to recognize different types of flowers, they can move pollen from flower to flower quite effectively. Fruits and seeds. Fruits protect dormant seeds and aid in their dispersal. There are various fruit adaptions that help disperse seeds: carried by wind, hitchhike on animals, or dispersed in their feces. Fruits are usually nutritious, sweet-tasting, and vividly colored to attract animals. Thus, the seed will be carried and deposited somewhere along with a supply of fertilizer. Fruits usually ripen about the same time that its seeds complete their development. Thus, the timing provides a good chance of the dispersal of the seed. Seed dormancy is a condition where the seed is at an extremely low metabolic rate and suspension of growth and development. Some seeds germinate once they are in a suitable environment, while others remain dormant until a specific environmental cue causes them to break dormancy. This increases the chances that germination will occur at a time and place most advantageous to the seedling. Broad leaves. Leaves with a large surface area is a morphological adaptation that enhances the absorption of light needed to drive photosynthesis. High surface to volume ratio helps the uptake of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen during photosynthesis more effectively. There is an increased water loss, increased gas exchange, increased surface area for light capture. Water loss doesn't seem like an advantage, but evaporation from the leaves is part of the process, which can move water from the roots up to the tops of tall trees. Flatworms have 3 germ layers. An animal with 3 germ layers is triploblastic, with an ectoderm, an endoderm, and a mesoderm between the ectoderm and endoderm. The ectoderm, the germ layer covering the surface of the membrane, forms the outer covering of the flatworm and its central nervous system. The endoderm, the innermost germ layer, becomes the lining of the digestive tract and organs derived from the digestive tract, such as the liver and lungs. The mesoderm forms the muscles and other organs between the flatworm's digestive tract and outer covering. Bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry means that the animal has a dorsal and ventral side and an anterior and posterior end. Bilateral symmetry is important for mobility. This allows the flatworm to be more active. Cephalization is an evolutionary trend in which animals with a bilaterally symmetrical body plan have sensory equipment along with a central nervous system concentrated at the anterior end. A central nervous system and extensive sensory equipment helps coordinate the movement of flatworms. The increased mobility allows them to find and move towards food, escape predators, and possibly find other flatworms for reproduction. Segmented worms. Segmentation increases the efficiency of body movement by allowing the effect of muscle contractions to be localized. When the annelid is damaged and the contents of a few segments are lost, the annelid can survive. Regeneration of the lost segments is limited. If the annelid damages a major organ, it may not be able to regenerate. Column. Annelids are true columnates, with an endoderm, ectoderm, mesoderm, and a column. The column functions as a hydrostatic skeleton, providing the animal with rigidity and the resistance necessary for muscular movement. The column enables the internal organs to slide against one another, making for easy locomotion. Also allows for them to grow and move independently of the outer body well. Digestive system allows extracellular digestion, which enables the annelid to devour large food sources that could be ingested by phagocytosis and digested intercellularly. A digestive system allows the annelid to store food and ingest additional food before the earlier meals are completely digested. Reptiles contain amniotic eggs. The amniotic eggs contain membranes from tissue layers that grow out of the embryo and act as protection. These membrane layers function in gas exchange, waste storage, and transfer of nutrients. Amniotic eggs also have fluid compartments that act as hydraulic shock absorbers. They also developed a shell layer which slows dehydration of the embryo in the air. The evolutionary significance of the amniotic egg is that it allows reptiles to settle more terrestrial habitats as their eggs can survive more effectively. Waterproof skin is the result of the scales that contain the protein keratin. Scales help prevent dehydration of the organism in dry air. Well-developed lungs. Skin no longer serves for diffusion and gas exchange. Instead, the reptile must develop its lungs to effectively continue to respire. The reptile no longer needs to depend on moist skin to allow for gas exchange, thus allowing it to adapt to drier climates. Chordates include corals, sea anemones, hydroids, and several types of jellyfish. Cnidarians have structures that transport materials. Cilia, tiny hairs, keep fluid moving. The circulatory canal connects all branches of the canals and circulates gametes. The adaptive value is maintaining an optimal concentration gradient and permits for a larger body size and complexity. Cnidarians respond to stimuli. They have receptors and a nerve ring, which detects stimulus or transmits and responds. They also have stinging cells and stinging tentacles, which release toxic poisons. The adaptive value is that they can capture prey and can be defended. Cnidarians' gas exchange. The structures are outer epithelium and gastrovascular cavity, which helps with the diffusion of oxygen and CO2, moving downwards. The adaptive value is the increased surface area and increased rate of exchange. Locomotion on Cnidarians. The structures are the hydrostatic skeleton with contractile fibers and the gastrovascular cavity. Contractile fibers acting on the hydrostatic skeleton help to move the organism. The adaptive value is it expands food gathering options, avoidance of predators, and promotes gene flow. Arthropoda contains ticks, spiders, insects, and crabs. Adaptions in the circulatory system aid in the transport of materials. Structures like the aortic arch or pseudoheart help maintain optimal concentration gradients, permit for larger body size and complexity. Response to stimuli. Arthropods have a well-developed nervous system. They have brains and ganglia that coordinate the movement of individual legs and wings. The evolutionary value is that it provides faster reaction time and more mobility. Gas exchange. 3 types of respiratory structures: gills, book gills and book lungs, and tracheal tubes. Crabs and shrimps have gills. Book gills and book lungs are sheets of gills, and spiracles are tubes which connect to the outside air to them. Tracheal tubes travel throughout the insect and are connected by spiracles to the outside. Arthropods have muscles and joints which aid in movement. Their jointed appendages consist of legs, wings, antennas, and claws. These appendages aid in avoidance of predators, communication, and hunting. Chordates includes mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. The transfer of material in chordates is through a pumping heart in the circulatory system, muscular contractions of the digestive system, uterine contractions of the reproductive system. The adaptive value is to maintain optimal concentration gradients and permit a larger body size and complexity. The chordate structure are sensory receptors, which detect stimulus and transmits, the spinal cord, and brain, which have integration and transmission. The adaptive value is improved homeostasis, more complex behavior, and directed response. Chordate structures for gas exchange are gills, modified swim bladder, skin, and lungs. They help with the diffusion of oxygen and CO2. There is also hemoglobin, which carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. The adaptive value is increased surface area, increased oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange, and chordate structures for locomotion are skeleton and muscles. They help with movement associated with muscle contractions. Their adaptive value are they are effective, they help with the predator-prey interaction, and food gathering. They promote gene flow, sexual selection, and habitat selection.